So, hi Daniel, how are you?
Doing good, yeah. Just mostly ending my work day, so otherwise can't complain. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And seriously, I was waiting for this podcast. I am a huge fan of your work.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. For sure, means a lot.
So, we'll start. Just allow me 1 minute for the introduction and then we'll go with the questions. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of MDBot For Her, the podcast where we spotlight women who are building boldly and leading with purpose in tech. Today's guest is someone whose work truly embodies that mission, Danielle Heberling. Danielle is a principal software engineer, a dedicated open source contributor, and an AWS Serverless Hero, a title awarded to exceptional community leaders who go above and beyond to advance serverless technologies. She's not only helping shape the future of cloud, but also working to build a more inclusive and space for women, beginners, and builders everywhere. Daniel, we're so honored to have you with us today and welcome to MDBot for Her.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be on the show.
So let's start with the questions. Let's start with segment one. We'll get to know about you, your like what exactly you do, what you have studied, and everything about that. So, for those meeting you for the first time, who is Danielle Heberling, in your own words?
That's a hard question. um, I would say high level. I'm a human, a community member, a community organizer, an employee. In the past, I've been a boss to people. Um, yeah, many things. Sister, daughter, also a wife. Sometimes I forget that because we just got married 2 years ago.
Oh,
But
congratulations. Okay, so now we'll talk about your study. Like, what did you study originally?
yeah, so my life was a little windy. I started out my first set of studies studying music education to be a music teacher.
Oh, great. And did you grow up in a tech-oriented or affluent household?
Yeah, I did. I would say my father worked in tech, so he built stuff for accounting software. So not the flashiest thing, but it was still tech. And my mom was always pretty technically oriented. We got the internet like in the early 90s, so I would say that was a big influence for me.
Great. So basically, we are doing this podcast for the women who are like thinking that we cannot do anything. They want to like start and they are not able to restart their career, their life, and like women, like from the community from where I come. So I've seen how deeply women need that one call, that one encouragement, that gentle push, and someone to simply say like, you are not crazy. Work-life balance is possible, and you can do this. So for them, I just really want to know that what kind of student were you? Like you have achieved so much in life. So were you an A grade student? Were you high achieving? What kind of student were you?
I would say like in kindergarten through like grade 12, I was probably maybe like an A minus, B plus student. Just going back to the prior question, because I was wanting to spend more time practicing my main instrument to become a music teacher. Oboe was my main instrument. So, yeah, instead of like, really getting too into my studies, my thought was, be good enough to get into college, be good enough to have a baseline to be successful. But also I really wanted to focus on what was important to me at the time, which was, getting really good at music. So.
And also, I want to know that like when you were growing up, so you were like confident, quiet, or introvert. What kind of student were you? Like because you have come here and you have created this image and you have created this name for yourself. So what kind of student were you? So I really want to know, like as a child, how were you?
Yeah, like socially, you mean? Yeah, I would say I've always identified as an introvert. I'm the type of person where like I usually need to think and reflect a lot before I say stuff. And maybe some of that is my own personal like perfectionist, like nothing's ever good enough type of mindset. But yeah, overall, for the most part, I was usually pretty introverted, kept to myself. The one exception to that growing up was, in music, I became, section lead. I also played clarinet as well. So I was in the marching band. And then like my junior and senior year, I became the drum major. So that involved like conducting the band, leading rehearsals, things like that. And I think for me, like I still viewed myself as an introvert, but because like I had a job to do, it was a little less stressful for me.
Okay. So was this career path intentional or more of a happy accident?
I would say probably a happy accident. Yeah, like I wanted to be a music teacher, and then I was a music teacher for 2 years. It was kindergarten through 8th grade. Music, just general music. You have music class, And yeah, I really love the students. I love what's more important than nurturing the minds of the future. But I wanted to be able to have a little more say in the type of impact that I could have. And I felt like being a teacher, there's like a lot of rules of what you can't do. And sometimes like you would stand up and try to advocate for something and people would tell you, oh, sit down, you're just trying to get paid more. And like, honestly, I really cared about the kids. So that just burnt me out really bad. And then I was a little lost in life for a while. I took the first job I was qualified for, which was tech support. And then kind of through that was where I went up that trajectory of like, hey, I really like this, to, hey, I'm pretty good at this, to, hey, I want to feel empowered to be the person to fix the problems for these folks instead of needing to like ping an engineer and be like, hey, can you write some code to fix this problem? So
now we'll talk about one of the most important aspect of your life, like becoming an AWS Serverless Hero. So what does like being an AWS Serverless Hero mean to you? And especially as a woman in a space that's still heavily male dominated.
Yeah, every day I would say probably the 2 best words to describe it would be honored and humbled. Because working at Stackery prior, I was an AWS Serverless. We built tools for AWS Serverless, so I was deep in the ecosystem at that point. So I was aware of all of the early, like the original heroes, and was huge fans of them. And I think when I got that email, I was like, what? Really? Me? So yeah, it means the world to me.
Yeah, that's such a great feeling. And yes, this brand itself is such a huge name in our tech world because we look up to you, everyone, the beginners, the women, or anyone who is like trying to navigate their lives in their tech world or something like that. So they look up to you. So this is such a great name given to you, and obviously you deserve this.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more of a lesson in like we all have imposter syndrome. Publicly, you see all the celebrations, but a lot of times people don't share their failures. So sometimes you're like, am I not good enough? Oh, these people online, they're just so great at what they do. And, it messes with your head a little bit for sure. But I think anyone can do anything they put their mind to.
So I really want to know that your family support played a big role in your journey.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I'm currently living out in the West Coast in the United States. And my family today, we live in we all live in different states, but we all talk pretty regularly. I send my parents, some of my tech talks. My mom probably doesn't know what I'm talking about. My dad kind of does. And yeah, they're very supportive, and they have been from the start. I probably would say at the start of just being like, you better go to college to be successful, and then helping me out financially to get to college.
Great. So, in your opinion, what matters the most? Like intelligence, consistency, or focus?
I would probably say consistency. And the reason why I say that is because anytime you're trying something new, you're probably not going to be good at it. And it's just being able to have that consistent level of practice. I know, like, I personally learn better when things are more like a small, steady consistency. Like when I'm studying for certifications, I don't cram last minute because I want to retain that info after. So yeah, definitely consistency.
Great. I love that, because that's such a thoughtful answer, because obviously consistency is very much required, because obviously intelligence can work and discipline can work, and consistency plays, like discipline and consistency, they plays an important role in the success also, and in learning things as well. So like we'll talk about like how would you explain serverless like to someone completely new to tech, and why it is such a great entry point for like builders or beginners?
Yeah, sometimes that's a little bit of a loaded question because many different people have different definitions of what is and is not serverless. So I'll just give you my definition. Definitely open to other people having other definitions. I think we need to be inclusive of that. But yeah, my definition of serverless is, I would say it's about empowerment, really focusing on your end user and wanting to provide them with the best experience possible. And in order to do that, you're not going to be reinventing the wheel. You're not going to be like building your own servers, building your own load balancers. In general, you're going to be leaning on a managed service that a company, a cloud provider offers. So for me, I do mostly AWS. I've done a little bit with Cloudflare, which has been quite awesome too. But yeah, so instead of focusing on, me writing the infrastructure and things like that, I'll lean on those managed services, and then I can really focus more on the business value, aka what the customer is looking for. And I really care about the end user experience, and I want people to like what I build. So
Okay, can we talk about any serverless project? Like, can you share any serverless project you have worked on that really made you think like, this is why I do what I do?
Oh, that's a really great question. Trying to think. Yeah, I've worked at numerous companies, built some personal side projects. Probably, maybe just because it's recency bias, but I would say, oh, no, actually, never mind. I probably would say my work at Stackery, because it was pretty early in the serverless days. And, it was like there were so many hello worlds of, here's how you deploy a Lambda with an API gateway in front of it. Like, look, it's easy. But then it's like, once you want to go to step 2, there was a lot of question of, how to do it. And Stackery did a really great job of tying that together. There was a really nice user interface where you could like drag and drop the different resources, connect them. You would connect your AWS accounts and specify a region and say like, hey, I want to deploy this. And it was really great. And I felt like it really empowered 2 folks. The one group of folks who are like the super users, probably who I am now, like just doing a lot of pretty intense things, but also the new folks, because it's a lot more approachable than writing YAML or like a bunch of lines of CDK code.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully, and like you have said it in a flow, but it is so like I know how much your efforts go and how much your like so much is going on there on the other side of this. So let's now talk about see the main motto. We are talking about the women empowerment and everything. So I really want to know that that how can we create space for women in like DevOps or cloud, and in your view, how can we shift the culture around cloud and DevOps to make it more welcoming, especially for women and non-traditional tech folks?
Yeah, definitely. That's something I think about almost daily, probably because I'm currently the only woman on my engineering team yet again. But but I mean, I work with fantastic men though, so I don't mean that as a rude to them. It's just like it would be awesome to have another woman. But yeah, I think the biggest part is if you see another woman in tech, like just go up and talk to her. And I would say another thing would be don't assume people's ability levels. Maybe this is just because I've had this in the past. People just assume that you're, junior or early career, and that's not always the case. And I think the way we can make this more inclusive overall to everyone, but also especially to women, because women get talked down to a lot, is, don't make any assumptions. Ask people, where they work, what they do, what their interests are, where they might want to grow, and then just kind of see how you might be mutually beneficial for each other. There's tons of people that I've met years ago, and then we reconnect for a reason, and because we had that warm connection, it was less awkward and less transactional. So I would say overall, just do everything you can. And if you're lucky enough to get to a point where you have a seat at the table in management and can have that power and that voice to elevate others, definitely do it. My personal method is to not explicitly do it. I usually implicitly will say, instead of saying we need to get more women on the team, do it more through your actions. Because sometimes if you verbally say it to a group of men, sometimes they get a little defensive about it, I've noticed.
Yeah, seriously. Because because in a male dominated world, many women are made they're made to feel tech isn't much for them. That AI, machine learning, or even coding is somehow that's not their cup of tea. Even I have faced this, and I know that how it feels like. But that couldn't be further it's from the truth, because I am a woman, I am a mom, and I am building an application powered by AI and ML, not just for the sake of technology, but to solve the real problem for parents, especially mothers. So it's not the truth all the time. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and advocate for better pay too. If you can get someone in a private one-on-one situation where you're just verbally talking, nothing's written down, and if you feel comfortable with it, share your salary, because that can help other folks with being able to negotiate.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'll talk about if someone is a curious beginner and they really want to start, and they want to start learning about AWS or serverless today. So where they should start first, and what kind of mindset should they bring to the journey?
I'm super biased because I know the guy that runs this, Andrew Brown, another AWS hero. He does this thing called the Cloud Resume Challenge. Another prior ex-AWS hero, Forrest Brazil, created it, and then Andrew took it over. But that's a really fantastic program to get involved with. They have a free Discord server you can join. There's a book that you can optionally buy, but you don't have to if you can't afford it. All the resources are free online. And what really sets this one apart from a lot of the others is it's hands-on. And it can be a little daunting and overwhelming. The first time we all logged into the AWS console, it was scary as heck. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing that I really love about that challenge is it kind of starts with the theory of, get this cert. But then from there, it's build this website that houses your resume and then write a blog post about your learnings. So it's kind of all three. It's like you got the theory, you got the practice, you've got the communication of what you built. Because I know me personally, a big reason why I got into blogging is if you're blogging for me is more thinking out loud and leaving notes for future me, but also in public. So it might help someone else out. And I really love that they include that in the Cloud Resume Challenge, because that's a really powerful skill to have as a software engineer, just communicating, especially in writing.
Yeah. And if you're talking about blogging, like how many blogs will suggest one should write in a week or something?
My biased advice would be write when you feel like it. It should be I personally believe it should be something that's like fun and fulfilling to you.
Yeah.
And if you're just kind of doing it as a chore, that kind of takes the fun out of it. With the exception of if you're getting paid to write something.
Yeah.
Definitely write that blog in that case. But yeah, I think it should be meaningful. That's my personal opinion.
And one more thing, nowadays, like certification and everything is so much required. Like everyone is like running after getting the certification, this certification, that certification. So many I've seen. So I really want to know that are these certifications so important to get a job, or what's your take on this?
My personal bias as a former hiring manager is if someone was more early career, I would probably say early careers like year 1 through 3 of having a software engineer job. To me, certifications are important at that point, because that tells me this person's learning these things. They have, that certificate that says, hey, I learned this stuff. I feel like beyond, early career, what's more important to me is projects. And with that said, I've gone back and forth with this a lot, especially just thinking about, people with children and families and how can we make it more inclusive.
Yeah.
There's like the forever argument of, how green someone's GitHub contribution should be. And I think for me, it's like, if it's there, great, but I'm not looking for it. Just because I want everyone to be able to join a company. And I've also noticed, as someone who doesn't have children, a great cheat code if you're going to join startups is if there's a culture of a lot of people that are parents, you're going to get a fantastic work-life balance.
Yeah.
Greedily.
And one more thing, like we often concentrate on a lot of tools. Like DevOps has so many tools. So what will you advise? Like one should focus on, like a lot of women, like a lot of my friends also come to me and say like should we focus on all the tools, or should we only focus on one and that will be sufficient? Like in the interview, obviously they'll be asking about the entire flow, but still they should focus on what? Like what is your take on this?
Yeah, and that's even worse now with all the AI stuff coming out every day. But yeah, my take is if you want to get like into specifically a DevOps position and you want to start with serverless, I would recommend, my bias is to start with AWS, just because it seems like most people use AWS. Most of the job descriptions I've seen use it. When I see a vendor give a talk about their competing service, they're always comparing it to AWS. So I would say start with AWS, start with a small subset of the core ones. I would probably say maybe like API Gateway, Lambda, S3, DynamoDB. Build like a REST API with it. And then once you're comfortable with all of that, you can kind of slowly just like add more and more resources to your toolkit. And then after you've been doing it for 5 years, it's going to be like second nature to just take on a new thing. IAM too. IAM is probably the hardest, so definitely focus on that too. But
And what about these Lambda functions? Like I want to know, like personally, that you need to write these functions, or you like just have it somewhere and you just need to edit them, or this is specifically you're writing that? You're getting what I said? Sorry.
I think that's a good question. Yeah, so like you're asking if you just need to have pre-written code in the Lambda or if you need to be writing it. I probably would say you need to be writing it. I've also started as an application developer though, so that's my bias there. But yeah, I would say you probably need to be writing it. I probably would recommend either Python or TypeScript because those seem to be the most common. Easiest to look up too, like in documentation. But yeah, there's other great programming languages out there, so I don't mean to say just use those two. Mostly just saying start with those two.
Okay. And one more thing. Now you yourself talk about AI and ML. So really, I want to know that how can someone like when how can AI affect the jobs also, and you can say that how can AI make the work much more easier, like after learning AI, so how can it make our job much more easier?
So yeah, how can AI make a job easier? I probably would say using, assuming your organization allows you to, because that's a big thing of, some companies are afraid of their intellectual property. Assuming you're allowed to, I feel like I really love a lot of the new AI code editors that come out. But I would probably caution against getting like too addicted to it. I personally use it more as a way to like quickly look up documentation or to just get like inspiration or ideas on things, not to do my work for me. There are some folks on the other end of the spectrum where they're like, agents, and they're doing all this stuff for me. And I think that's awesome, but I'm not exactly ready to fully let up control yet. But yeah, GitHub Copilot is what I started out with. Lately, I've been using AWS Hero. It's currently in preview. That's been really awesome as well. It's a VS Code fork. So if you use VS Code, you probably will love it.
Yeah. Okay. Now a lot about like this technology and all, but I want to make it a more candid and about you. So I really want to ask about you, your life and your journey. So just 2-3 main questions I really want to know. Like, you are clearly someone who gets a lot done. So how do you stay focused?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I'm always like iterating on like, productivity hacks. Lately, what I've been doing has been, I just use low-key Apple Notes. Like anytime I have a to-do list note, I also have a note for like ideas of like blog posts I might want to write, talks I might want to give, projects I might want to, build on my public GitHub profile. And the funny part about that is I usually don't look back at it. like I'll write it because I'm like, I don't want to forget about it. But then I usually never look at it, but I feel better because I'm like, if I forget, it's there. And then another thing that I've started doing has been doing some pretty light meditation in the morning. I use the Headspace app for just like 10 minutes, pretty low key. Helped me with being able to just kind of quiet my mind a little bit. We as humans are not good at multitasking, despite thinking we are. And I think that's really helped me a lot with, especially at work. Like, I've got Slack and email and this and that. It's like, I just want to hyper focus on, finishing this Jira ticket. And I think meditation has really helped me with being able to kind of quiet that extra noise out.
For sure, meditation is a great form of creating focus also, and it is a great form of exercise as well. So now we'll talk about the distraction also, like for the women. So I really want to know that what are your biggest distractions or challenges?
I think my biggest distraction in life in general is there's just so much I want to do. And it's like, how do I prioritize so I can make sure that I want to do the things that I want to do the most. I think for me, a lot of it's mostly just like travel lately, just because I'm a little kind of like midway later into my career. Earlier on, it was more, I want to learn all this tech stuff and level up. And I think, yeah, we go through phases. And yeah, that's probably my hugest distraction is that.
Okay, great. So now we'll talk about like you said, about the multitasking women. So what would you say to a woman, maybe a mom, student, or a caregiver who's trying to learn, build, and juggle multiple roles while breaking into tech?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it looks different for everyone. So like my advice might not be good for everyone, but take this with a grain of salt. I probably would say do your best to time box just a little bit of time every day. Like if you put your children to sleep at maybe 8 p.m., make sure you time box out from 8 to 8:30 to just do consistent studying every day, and it'll feel super slow at first, but if you're consistent, it will just completely build up. It's like that game where I forget the name of this game. This cool game where it's like this ball that rolls around and it just collects everything that it rolls over, and then by the end of the level, it's huge.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would compare that to.
Like a glass of water, like the drops will go one by one, and in the end, it will be full,
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
Like that. So, and also, like, what are your biggest goals now, professionally and personally?
I think professionally, my biggest goal is probably just to be a good teammate. If I see a coworker struggling or like just really overwhelmed with a lot of tasks, offer to take a few tasks off their plate. Because especially, just because, currently we're coworkers, but in the future, you might meet again. You have no idea. Personally, for me, well, this is professionally and personally, I'm looking to save up money, particularly just so I can have a better retirement. Because when I was a music teacher and also working in tech support, there usually either wasn't a retirement plan or I wasn't able to save that much. And now that I'm fortunate to be a high earner, just saving as much as I legally can so I can have a nice retirement.
Great. Now, like, you have achieved so much in your life and you have achieved so much in, like, professionally. So how do you define enough?
Yeah, that's a hard question too. Yeah, I think for me, it's probably just being able to live comfortably. And by comfortably, I don't mean, oh, I have one jet, I need two more. I mean, have a moderately nice sized house, have, a reliable car, be able to pay my medical bills, be able to help my family members if they have bills. I feel like it's pretty modest, but I would say that's probably enough for me, because then I would have the freedom of not worrying about, money or how am I going to pay my mortgage or this or that. And then I can just truly enjoy life, take some trips, and even enjoy some of the community work I do. So.
Thank you for being so honest, and it was such a lovely conversation with you. I think I'm done with the questions also, but I really want that. I wanted that I should be having more questions because I'm loving the conversation. It is so interesting. So interesting. I don't want to leave you for sure right now. And thank you so much again for saying and coming on my podcast. And thank you so much, Danielle, for sharing your journey, your insights, and your heart with us today. And your story is a reminder that tech isn't just about tools, it's about courage, community, and showing up for others. And to all our listeners, if Danielle's word inspired you, share this episode with one woman who needs that extra push to believe in herself, whether she's a mom, a student, or someone starting over. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
And Danielle, if you would like to say something about my initiative, like for MDBot for Her, it would be really honor.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like MDBot For Her is a really great initiative. It's kind of rare, unfortunately, to see initiatives like this, but I'm hopeful that initiatives like this won't be so rare as time goes on. Helping women and women who have children succeed in tech is super important because we're building software for the general population, and the people that build the software should also reflect the users, I think, demographics wise.
And thank you so much for your time, Danielle.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.